Imagine a world where small acts of kindness create a ripple effect of support. A world where financial struggles never stand in the way of hope. That's the vision behind Community Pay It Forward. After a life changing motorcycle accident, I saw firsthand the devastating impact unexpected financial hardships can have on families. That's why I started Community Pay It Forward, to ensure that no one faces these challenges alone. Community Pay It Forward is more than just a single program. Through community impact and packed podcasting, people all coming together, we amplify the voices of those making a difference. And with Community Dare to Care, we provide essential goods like clothing, food, and school supplies to those who need it most, to the community, from the community, for the betterment of the community. With Community Pay It Forward, we support families, children, veterans, community projects, no matter where they are. We are not just providing assistance, but hope for a brighter future, not just for people in need, but for businesses that are out there struggling, trying to find a way. We have a plan, but we need your help to reach the next level. We're launching a crowdfunding campaign to raise $500,000. This will allow us to market the Community Pay It Forward program more effectively and to acquire a vehicle for delivering essential goods to families in need in our community and enhance and strengthen our programs to serve even more people. And as a thank you for your generosity, we're offering special incentives for your contribution. As we tell people all the time, your donation, big or small, will help. It'll create lasting impact on our community. Join us in building a future where generosity and compassion lead the way. Visit our website today, communitypayitforward.us, or scan the QR code above and donate today. Together, we can pay it forward because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Z-World Webs and Community Pay It Forward present Gifts So Good. Join us in fighting against animal cruelty prevention this April. Every purchase supports an animal care program. If you run a care program, Z-World Webs and Community Pay It Forward present Gifts So Good. Join us in fighting against animal cruelty prevention this April. Every purchase supports an animal care program. If you run a care program, what if one small act could change a life? What if your everyday purchases could support a cause? Join me for a special 3-hour podcast as we introduce incredible giving partners. Hear inspiring stories. Learn how you can shop with a purpose. And be part of a movement that turns kindness into action. Tune in, ask questions, and discover how you can pay it forward today for a better tomorrow. Your business is your American dream, but today opening your doors comes with tough questions. Will customers walk in? Can I stock the shelves with what they need? Can I afford salaries? And how do I compete with the big box store down the road? That is exactly why we created Community Pay It Forward. Because in hard times, we need stronger communities led by people with bigger hearts. Our Shop, Click, and Pick program makes it simple. Every purchase at a participating small business supports a cause you care about. You shop, others thrive. Even when money is tight, you can still make a huge difference. You're not just shopping, you're supporting families, nonprofits, and your neighbors. That's the power of community. That's the power of the Community Pay It Forward family. When you join the Community Pay It Forward family, you will be seen, you will be remembered, and you will be a hero for people in need everywhere. You, your business, and Community Pay It Forward. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all little bit of a preview of things upcoming. That's our new introduction. I finally got around to doing it. I mean, it only took me what, 3 months? So, but had to take a little bit of time to try to catch up to myself again. So that's what it took. Hey everybody, my name is Zak Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the Pack channels. We have a couple things upcoming that we are going to be talking about a little bit later on today, but we want to first start the show out with an interview that I did late last week with a wonderful, wonderful lady who, um, I'll I'll still say this, okay? I think it's hard to believe that she's been doing it for 30 years because she's saying she's the same age as me. And, I don't want to say that people are full of it, but let's be honest. When you look at her and you look at me, you can't tell me that she's the same age as me, all right? But she's been a psychotherapist for about 30 years, and she focuses on something that to me is so important because of the fact she focuses on the most at risk for suicide, that age range. And I know what you're probably thinking, and you're going to be shocked to find out you're wrong. It's not the younger generation. It's the people 85 and over are the range where they're willing to end their life quicker and easier. Well, Toya is going to tell us why. She's going to introduce us to what people go through at that age and why it's so important to have somebody who focuses on people who have lived their life, who understand that, I've had a life, and they think that, I've lost everyone I know, I'm just going to check out. It's not a good thing. Toya focuses on our elderly. And when she told me that, I remember looking back at the CDC records and seeing that the elderly are the group. It's actually the in which this is two different age groups, 75 to 85, and then 85 and up. Those are the two groups where people are more likely to take their own life. I believe it's like 22.8 out of every 100,000, or I don't quote me on that. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do this here real quick. I'm gonna bring this up. You will see this in this interview, but here's just a couple things. Non-Hispanic, American Indian, or Alaskan Native is the highest rate of racial suicides. Non-Hispanic white is secondary. And these are 2023 statistics. These are the latest statistics that are out right now, okay? But it is 23.8 per 100,000. Non-Hispanic, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islanders. Again, there's one that you wouldn't really think. They live in tropical, majestic beauty. You would think that their lives are wonderful. And that just proves the point. You never know what someone else is going through. Non-Hispanic, multiracial. Black, Hispanic, and Asian. So that's the racial breakdown. You got 23.8%, 17.6. Actually, it's not percent. I'm sorry. These are 23.8 people out of 100,000, 17.6, 17.3, and then you've got a massive drop after that to 9.2 people per 100,000. So we see where we need to have a little bit of attention given, and let's be honest, we need to catch the attention of these 6.5 Asians. We need to catch their attention. We need to find out what's wrong with them. So I don't mean by any means, well, the Asians, the Hispanics, they don't have a problem with suicide. Yes, they do. If we've got 8 out of 100,000 that are killing themselves, that's 8 people too many. So we do need to focus on this. We need to figure this out. But you can see the breakdown. Males, and unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but the female rates are going up, okay? And the male rates are not coming down. So it's not like one's going up and one's coming down. Um, these are what they are. But the adjusted rates per 100,000, 22.7 males as opposed to 5.9 females. And again, those 5 point females, that they're going up because of the feelings of being alone, feelings of just defeated feelings for both males and females. Okay, but here we go. You're going to see this again in the interview. And when I played this, Toya was shocked and she was like, I haven't seen that and so I ended up giving her this scale when we were done. But 85 plus, 22.7 out of every 100,000 for 85 and up. 75 to 84, 19.4 for every 100,000. 65, 74, you've got 15.7, and then it bounces, it shoots right back up. Apparently, what this is saying is that, we're going to be fairly 65 to 74 is like the second happiest time or the third happiest time in our lives. But if you look at this, these are a lot of these, which was again, this is a little shocking to me. Okay, these are all professional ages. So you're 25 to 64 range. These are all your professional ages. These are and 24 is pushing it when I say professional ages. But if you really want to look at it, go up to 34, 25 to 34, to 65 to, those numbers are just heavy and they're wrong. They're wrong. We don't need people feeling like this. 15 to 24, 13.5. Again, 13.5 out of every 100,000. That is too damn many. Too many. But I was happy to see that those numbers are not higher. We need to keep that way. Kids, if this means that you are out there and you are pressuring people to stay alive, keep doing it because you're doing a great job. If you've got a friend who's in trouble, keep doing what you're doing because you are making a difference in your friend's life. Okay? If you got a friend that's in severe anxiety, in severe trouble, consider reaching out for help. Okay? What you're doing is great, but let's make sure that we reach out for help and make sure that even this number, this 13.5% goes down. This number right here, the 2.3, I got to be honest with you, this is one of the saddest numbers. Children aged 10 to 14, there are still 2.5 kids for every 100,000. 10 to 14, you don't even know what life is, and you're taking your own life. Hell, as an old guy, I can say even up into 25 to 34, you don't even know what life is yet. But 10 to 14, and we have 2.5 kids that are taking their own life. You can find this chart if you go to cdc.gov/suicide/facts data dot hotmail, I guess, or HTML. So, but cdc.gov/suicide/facts/data. Okay, you can go there. You can see these statistics. You can read so much more. Suicide methods, firearm. You can see firearms are the look. I believe in gun rights. I believe in responsible gun rights. I fully believe in responsible gun rights. As a matter of fact, I like knowing that the person next to me has a gun. I like having that feeling. As a biker, I've had that feeling a lot, and it was always reassuring to me. Sorry. Suffocation. This one actually kind of surprised me a little bit. I'll be honest. That would be such a horrible way to go, but that's the second highest. You got suffocation. Poisoning, you have 12.9%. And then other, you have 8.21. Okay. But the most important place that you can go right down is right here. You can go to additional resources. These are places that you can go to find out more. You can also come down here to find out how to help people, public health, social media resources, where to go. But this is a great place to go if you want to learn a little bit more. And if you really, 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 folks, want to see what we are dealing with. Those right there are just numbers that one website we were able to pull it up. One website. Now, as I mentioned before, as I mentioned on the 22nd all the time, those numbers are going to be a little askewed because certain states have certain ways to report suicide that other states do not. I still think it would be a great thing if we were able to mandate a way to report suicides. I think it would give us a much clearer picture on what we need to work on. I think it would give us a much clearer picture to report things, and it wouldn't make us sound like we were being hyperbolic or we weren't, people like me weren't out here shouting our asses off for no reason. I think if we were able to report statistics and show this is, drug overdose, this is alcoholism, these are firearms, if we were able to put all these together, because if you noticed in there, yes, poisoning was in there, but it didn't have overdose. It didn't have, overconsumption of alcohol. So they're not reporting those two things. And again, here in Colorado, if you overdose, it's an accidental suicide. It is reported as a suicide. I'm going to tell you, as somebody who lost a couple friends to overdoses, to overconsumption, it hurts. It hurts your soul when you hear the words accidental suicide. and it'll piss you off because you'll hear the word accidental suicide and you'll be like, my friend didn't kill themselves. They messed up. They OD'd. They didn't commit suicide. I think my perspective of that is if we do list it as that, hopefully it'll get us talking about it a little bit more. Hopefully it could also be a deterrent because you don't want to be known as somebody who accidentally took your life. So, but the truth is, we need to make sure that we're reporting this all the same way. Again, please go to cdc.gov/suicide/facts, and you can find that chart that I just shared with you and that we talk about here with my friend Toya. Toya's in New York. She is a psychotherapist. Again, this is a video that I did last week with her. Wonderful, wonderful lady talking about helping people in different ways that they are also helping people, including a neat concept. So here's my friend Toya Dara Liverpool. Continuing our conversation on mental health and some of the ways that people struggle, some of the ways that people have struggled, and more importantly, some of the solutions that are out there. We have my guest today, Toya Liverpool, who is a psychotherapist in New York, correct?
Yes, New York State.
New York State. Are you on Long Island or?
I practice all over. I have an office in Terrytown, but also now in Brooklyn. I recently opened up in Brooklyn, but I am licensed in New York State and actually New Jersey. So I practice telehealth in both states.
Yeah, you've kind of got a unique um second job in one of your offices too. Did you want to talk about that? Give it a little bit of a push?
Are you talking about the cafe?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. A year ago, me and my partner opened up a cafe in Brooklyn. It's called the REP Music Cafe. And it's really what we consider a second space. Because in this space we promote different artists. That would be visual artists, musicians, dance, because my partner is a dancer, a professional dancer. So we have a lot of different events happening. So it's not just a cafe, it's actually a community space because we do a lot of community events also. So it is my kind of our passion was to promote community, and that's what's happening at the Rep Cafe. So yeah, very proud of it.
Just that place sounds so cool. I really I think it, and it's funny because I no longer drink, which you guys turn into a bar at night. I no longer drink and I don't drink coffee either. So I would just be going there for the art aspect of it. But honestly, and let me ask you this, with what you do in psychotherapy,
Mhm.
art ties into that a lot for a lot of people, does it not?
It sure does. And we have tea also. Yeah, so a lot of herbal teas. But yeah, what the dream of this space actually came because of my passion for mental health. This space was actually born during COVID, because my partner at the time lived in Japan. He had been living in Japan for 18 years. But we were high school sweethearts and best friends and remained in contact throughout the years. And during COVID, he was actually struggling, because as a dancer, he traveled all over the world, and all of a sudden his work stopped, full stop during COVID, right? So
Mhm.
now he was this person who was always out and about and traveling and teaching and dancing. And now he had none of that. So he reached out to me and we would start talking on a daily basis. He would take these walks and we would have these discussions. And during those discussions, he said to me, wow, wouldn't it be nice if everyone could have access to a therapist? And I said to him, well, you don't pay for this, but if they pay for it, that would be nice. And then we started talking about spaces that promote mental health or spaces that people could socialize again. And we started talking about a cafe because he was a coffee drinker and I'm not, I drink tea. And we started talking about a cafe. Wouldn't it be nice to have a cafe where it's a welcoming space where people don't come just to like work on their laptop, but there's events that they come to so they don't feel lonely. So we started talking, he's into art, so we started talking about art, an art space, a visual art space. We started talking about having mental health workshops at the cafe, dance events at the cafe, um, live music at the cafe. And so right now we have all of those happening at the cafe, but it's really to promote mental health. Because when a lot of study shows when people are isolated, it increases the chances of them becoming depressed. Isolation is a huge trigger for depression. And people usually are scared to go into public spaces where they're not going for something in particular. So by creating certain events or curating certain events, you are creating that third space so people can come in and sit and listen to music. But the hope is they're also going to socialize with like-minded people or they're going to meet a new friend. So, one of the things we say at the rep is come to meet a friend, come to bring a friend, come to be a friend. And that's what it has become, and it's really a safe space for people.
In Lundstrom, who had started um, the Avery Center before she moved on and went to become the executive director of another program. One of the things that she used to do with some of the girls that had been rescued was one of the from trafficking. One of the treatments that they would do is they would sit them down with whatever media they wanted, charcoal, pencil, paint, whatever it was, and open your mind, express your feelings, be yourself. And I'm going to tell you that I have never in my life seen such scary,
Terry?
beautiful,
Mhm.
terrifying, uh, hopeful art in my life. And some of them were in the same painting. You watch that transition from moment to moment. I was in, I used to be an artist. I can't draw or paint hardly at all anymore, but I used to be an artist, and I understand what it's like to have a brush in your hand and you start in one mood, but by the end of the painting, it's in a completely different direction. So I do see that as something that I think is very uh, ingenious. One, and if I ever make it out to New York, in which I hope to someday, I definitely want to stop by and see that.
Please do, please do. And the one we do have every, I think 6 to 8 weeks, we have different local artists that display their art on the wall. So we have different art installations, and we usually have a little event to invite the community to come and view the art. So every 6 to 8 weeks, we have different artists just put up their art and they can sell it. And it's really amazing to see the different people that come in and display their work and how different they are and how beautiful they are. So if
Yeah,
you're at New York,
well,
come
that
by.
that it does. I think it sounds like a wonderful place.
Mhm.
One of the one of the main things that we run into is fear. Um, People don't want to open themselves up, and people don't want to become vulnerable. And so therapy is one of the things that they don't prioritize. They're
Mhm,
like, and I like the way that you put it earlier, when we hurt our foot, we go see a doctor. But when our head is jumbled, we think it's okay. We think, whatever, I can get through this. Yet, without taking care of that, it
mhm,
becomes very dangerous.
mhm. I think a lot of it has to do with cultural norms, right? We joked before that you and I are of a certain generation. We won't reveal our age, but you know, I remember growing up and mental health was something that was really not talked about. It's like you tough it out. If you feel sad or depressed, get over it. You got to go to work. Like, certain things were just not prioritized, feelings, talking about certain things were not heard of. You kind of sucked it up and you kept going.
Mhm.
Um, and I think for a very long time, even the generations before us, it was even harder, right? People didn't think about a lot of those things. I think something happened during probably the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and it had a lot to do with substance abuse that was hitting our communities. And I think because a lot of people found this new thing, different drugs that they would use in order to really treat their mental health, treat what it is that was going on within them. And it became so bad, it was a pandemic. And I think because of that, people started having to go for treatment. And during those treatments, really a lot of people started paying more attention to their mental health. So it was this crisis that happened that drove people to seek out help. Some mandated, right? Some, I grew up in New York during the 80s and 90s where there was a lot of crack. That was the thing that was happening. So a lot of families were really devastated. So sometimes what ended up happening is the children of those families end up seeking treatment, right? Because if you had a parent who was addicted or who abandoned the family or who died, and during that time, you also had HIV, came in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think during that time also, a lot of people started needing to seek treatment. So it became more and more acceptable for people to go to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist, because it was a part of something else that kind of started happening. And right now, I really, because of the pandemic, once again, a crisis happened, people started recognizing, oh my God, I'm really feeling it because I'm stuck at home. I'm
Hmm.
isolated with my thoughts. So I think something else grew out of the pandemic where that's when I really opened up. I've been practicing for a long time, but during the pandemic, my phone never stopped ringing. That's when I decided to, okay, leave my full-time 9 to 5 and open up my own practice because there were so many people reaching out and I love what I do, and I felt like I needed to do it full time. But it was because of the pandemic, I think people started normalizing mental health more. People started talking about it more, how they were feeling, they were being more vulnerable. So now we are at the point where I think there's a little bit of a shift where I think people are still kind of pulling back and kind of saying, well, maybe I don't need, to seek out help. And so I'm so happy you're having this discussion with me because without your mental health, nothing else really matters when you think about it. You might have a lot of goals in mind that you want to accomplish. You might have, people who depend on you. But if you're not feeling good up here, nothing happens. Like, it's such a powerful, I think I was drawn to this field because I was so impressed with how powerful the mind is, and I continue to be fascinated. Like when you look at people who you think have everything in the world, it's like they have money and fame and everything else, and then they commit suicide, you know? And it's like, why? Like, what happened? Like, what you could have gotten help. Like, what's going on? But when you're in that headspace that you feel like there's no way out, you kind of you get trapped in your own headspace, and for some people they think that's the way out. So it just shows you how powerful that mind is sometimes.
Well, this is, now comes my obligatory moment when I talk about when I was going through all of my injuries in my motorcycle accident. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, talking about mental struggles, mental health, and stuff, is because I noticed that there was never any healing going on because the mental health aspect of everything kept blocking me from feeling good. And again, if you don't feel good everywhere, you don't feel good. I mean, if you've got stressors coming because you can't find food for your family, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to feel whole, and you're going to struggle. And so I like that you wanted to bring up, prioritizing mental health, because it is really something that, look, it's scary. It's scary getting to know yourself.
Mhm.
You're with yourself. You're the only person that's with yourself 24 hours a day. Yet you can surprise yourself quite often. And you know, there are times that you find out stuff about yourself that you're like going, ooh, I don't know if I like that guy very much. So, but what are some of the things, Toya, that COVID should have taught us about being with ourselves all the time? What are some exercises that we can do to make sure that if and when we're in another situation where we've got nothing but time, we don't fall into these depressions again?
Mhm. Well, there's a few things, right? And I think I'm so happy you brought up COVID, because COVID for some people was a gift. It made us sit with ourselves. And for some people, it made us be honest with ourselves without having distractions. Because when you think about life, work can be a distraction, right? You're not feeling good in the morning, but you got to go to work. You push aside what you're feeling, you get up, you go to your 9 to 5, you get distracted, you're involved in meetings and other people and all of that. As soon as you go back home, the thoughts come back,
Mhm.
right? Socialization could be a distraction too. It can be helpful, but it can also, if I'm not feeling good, my friend called me, want to go out for a drink. Okay, you know what? Forget these feelings. Let me go have a drink. So what COVID did, it made us sit still. It made us be more mindful, which is something people sometimes run from. When I say mindful, I mean being able to really pay attention to the moment that you're in. And for some people, paying attention to that moment can be difficult because it makes you evaluate what's going on in your life right now. And for some people, it's just too much. They don't want to evaluate what's going on right now because they may not be happy or satisfied with what's going on right now. So a few things that I think COVID has taught us and that we can continue to do in order to make sure that we are living a healthier lifestyle, or that we are on a path, is one, being still for a moment. Taking a moment out of your week to really just sit still with yourself. And we call this being mindful. Some people do meditations during that time in order to kind of settle the mind a bit. If you are not trained on meditation or you don't know much about it, Google it, look it up on YouTube. I always tell people the best meditations are the short ones, the ones that are guided. There's a lot of free meditation resources, but sitting still for even 3 to 5 minutes can allow you to just be in that moment. Another thing that I personally find helpful is journaling. Being able to write down your thoughts, your feelings, to kind of track your moods can be really helpful. A lot of times we push aside our moods and feelings because once again, I think that aspect of being strong, I don't need to, tap into those feelings. You know, People kind of push it aside. But being able to say, okay, Friday, I felt really, really sad. I don't know why I felt sad. And then on Sunday, I met up with a friend and I felt a lot better. Being able to kind of track and see the shift in your mood can be very helpful later on because you can see that you have ups and downs. It's not constantly feeling sad. So that's something you can do for yourself without even needing a therapist, is paying attention to your mood, being mindful, and another piece is taking action. A lot of times it's really difficult, I think, sometimes for people to turn intention into action. So recognizing that you need to do something, if you're not feeling good, if you're feeling sad or anxious, or you have intrusive thoughts, being able to take that next step and take action is like sometimes, maybe you do need a therapist, maybe not. Sometimes people just need to be able to call a friend or talk to a family member that you trust, or go for a walk or exercise. Like there's different things that you can do in order to help you. But I think taking action and not always just letting it sit too long can sometimes be a problem.
And I would like to, even throw in taking the appropriate action because there are too
Mhm.
many people who are, oh, to hell with this day, I'm going to go have a beer. And that's just not the appropriate action to use.
Yes.
You specialize in an age group, and I wanted to share this with people because I've said this before and I've got a lot of kickback from this. Well, I wanted to prove it right here. This is CDC suicide data. And if you look,
Mm,
85 plus is the highest
mm,
age group. 22.7 out of every 100,000 people, 85 and plus, are the ones who kill themselves, who are taking their own lives. The second is 75 to 84. So, where you would think it would be in these ranges here, the 15 to 35 or 15 to 44, you know, they're they're down there a little bit, and it's just astonishing when I saw this number. I never ever thought that number would be what it is. But
mhm,
Toya, when you and I were talking, you really brought the realization, or you brought clarity, not realization. You brought clarity to why this happens. Why do you specialize in helping people who are aged, who have lived that life? Why did you start to focus on our elderly?
mhm. It's actually very personal to me. Um, I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with a grandmother who was also my best friend. Growing up, she was a person who paid a lot of attention to me. She was funny. She was the rock of my family. And I really loved her. And I remember as a child just sitting with her and she would tell me all these stories. And at the time, I had no idea what she was talking about. But it stayed with me because she would take an hour out of her day. And she was a busy grandma. She was always cooking and cleaning and doing all kind of stuff. But she would always sit with me and talk to me about her life, about things. And I think she would talk to me, but it was one of those things where I think she was actually talking to herself, and I just happened to be there listening. But it really stuck with me. And I remember growing up thinking, wow, she lived an amazing life. What a strong woman. So I take inspiration from her. When I became a therapist, I worked with children, I worked at different hospitals, I worked with people who had different illnesses. And I was always drawn to people who were a little bit older. And I think it really stemmed from that. I always enjoyed hearing their stories because they lived a full life, you know. And a lot of the older generation, they've really lived. They've been through some stuff. When you think about the time, right? From people who maybe were born in the 20s or the 30s or the 40s and all of the different activities, war, the Great Depression, civil rights movement. When you think about the times they lived, it was some really hard stuff happening, that they had to survive through. So this is that generation now who have aged. And a lot of them, once again, if we go back to the idea that a lot of them didn't seek out mental health, that was not a thing. So a lot of times they carry that with them to the age that they are now. And now that they have time to sit still and not have any distractions, a lot of those traumas are coming up for them. And, so I started working with this population years ago, but the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years, I really started more specializing in it because I noticed a trend. I noticed a lot of older people who are very much alone, who don't have family, or their friends have passed on. And I've had a few people that said they go months without speaking to anyone. So they were very happy when I would call. And I felt really sad because these are people who have lived a full life and they've given to other people and they have been forgotten. And I honestly, I feel like it's my obligation to serve this population, because as the data shows, they are the ones who tend to take their life. And I think people don't pay attention because they figured, oh, they're old, they're gonna die anyway. So, and it's sad. It really does hurt me to think, instead of honoring this generation and trying to help them and trying to, especially at the end of your life, you should be able to feel joy and to feel proud and to feel happy, but for some of them, the loneliness once again triggers a lot of depression. And because others, anxiety comes up, especially when they start thinking about end of life stuff. A lot of anxiety comes up if especially if they have not really fulfilled some of the things that they thought they would. So I'm both as a therapist kind of fascinated by these trends and what's going on in the data, how can we impact that data? But I think from a humanistic point of view and a personal point of view, I feel obligated to really use my skills to help this group.
Yeah, and I think when when you put yourself in that self-induced isolation, or when you put yourself, or when you find yourself in a time of isolation, you don't have anybody else telling you, no, you've got something to live for.
Mhm.
We've, you need to be here. And that is one of the reasons why programs like Meals on Wheels and, even just going to check on your neighbor who's a little elderly is always such a great thing to do. And it doesn't cost you anything because showing them that, yeah, I may be alone, but I'm not alone. I think that means so much. And I just showed, look, it is fact, they feel like life is over. They've lived their life. They may have, they've lost everyone that they loved, Maybe, you talked about it when we first met. Maybe they don't have kids, or their kids are estranged, or whatever. They don't have anything, and so they're like, I'm done. I'm done. So, I want to touch on two more really quick things. One of them is a lot of people use financial stresses for seeking help. Why is this a misnomer?
Mhm. I think people sometimes think it's too expensive, right? And I think for a while, even as a young therapist, when I first came out of school, I would always think, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe therapy is just not affordable for a lot of people. And as I went through my career, I started to think of the things that we prioritize. Um, and I think it's because people sometimes devalue mental health that they don't see it as something that they should pay for. And it's a sad thing because, once again, going back to the idea that without a stable and healthy mind, you may not have a life or you may not have a good life. So putting the value back on, sometimes it can be expensive depending what you're looking for, depending on the therapist that you're looking for. It's one of those things too where I hate to say, but is you pay for what you get for what you pay for, right? So if you do value your mental health or you're really struggling, and there are people that, of course, it's certain therapy are just not affordable to them, and insurance does provide. But I think, sadly, the insurance companies, their goal is to make money at the end of the day. And this says, even with the medical field, right? I'm stunned sometimes to hear some doctors how much they make when they work in community agencies. So a lot of times they do it out of the goodness of their heart, because even though they've had tons of education and experience, if they choose to working like that, that they're not making a lot of money. A lot of them have other jobs. As a therapist, when I first started out, I had three jobs. I was working at a community agency, I was working at a hospital, I was working, in order to pay my expenses because I have three kids. So it was a constant balance. And I remember when I said to myself, you know what? I cannot survive solely on insurance payouts because the insurance companies really don't pay therapists that much. And as someone who's getting closer to retirement, I'm not there yet, but on my way, and I have my own business, I have to start thinking about that. So for me, I've made the shift where I do take some insurance, the ones that are easy to work with. I do take some Medicaid, but once again, the ones that don't give me pushback and easy to work with and don't want me to pay them if I see a client for an hour versus 40 minutes, like so, but what I've done for myself within the last couple of years is I said, you know what? I'm not going to accept insurance from the ones that I feel are not serving as well, not serving me. And unfortunately, that will cut out some of the population that I used to work with. But my shift in focus now is on older individuals who just want therapy, and I feel like sometimes we do have to prioritize certain things in life. For me, it might mean cutting out my tea runs or cutting out certain things and saving up. To in order to pay $150 for something that I really want, So I really feel that to put the value on them, and it might be a little bit controversial because there are some therapists that say, "Oh no, you should always take insurance," but I really think that it's a balance. It's a balance.
The fact is, insurance companies are not multi-billion-dollar organizations because they like to give away money. They
Mhm.
don't, where, you know, in a perfect world, I'm pretty sure you'd love to take insurance from everybody.
Oh, yeah. And I did.
Yeah.
I did
And
for a
in
while.
a perfect world, you'd
Mhm.
like to make sure that that insurance is paying you market value or what you're worth, but they don't all the time. So that is something that is, I mean, and me personally, I do understand, and it thrills me to hear that you still take a lot of the insurances because we know that you're dealing with the elderly population. Medicaid is what they've got. Medicaid is about all they've got left. So, it's wonderful to hear that you do that. Toya, I would like to make sure that you know that you are always invited to come and talk to us whenever you would like. I have really enjoyed these past couple minutes to hear about you and what you do, your background. How did people get a hold of you?
So I recently opened so the cafe. We created a space downstairs in the cafe that I'm gonna start seeing people after hours there in person. And the so but I have the Growth Wellness Services. I'm sorry, it's a scam. Growth Wellness Services is my website, and all of my contact information is on the website www.growthwellnessservices.com. And I can always give my email and my phone number if that's helpful. My number is 914-595-6682. And they can leave a message, and I usually get back to people within 24 hours.
And we will make sure that all of that information is posted in the information on this video. Toya, thank you.
You're
Thank you for coming
welcome.
and talking to us.
Well, thank you for having me. You're doing great work.
So are you. And again, I was excited to talk to you before I knew that you took care of the elderly. And I was extremely excited to hear that you were doing that because it's underserved, because it's not understood.
Yeah.
So I think it's wonderful what you do. Our guest has been Toya Liverpool right here on Footprints Forward. We will be right back.
Z-World Webs and Community Pay It Forward present Gifts So Good. Join us in fighting against animal cruelty prevention this April. Every purchase supports an animal care program. If you run a care program, let us share your story. Simply schedule a meeting today. Support our initiative. Scan this code, shop for your pet, and help the animals in need all month long.
We are trying really hard, Z and I, to get that pet store up and running. Please, if you have any suggestions, reach out to us. You can use the QR code up in the corner. That's how you can get on my calendar and we can have a conversation. But please take and see if we can help you. If you have any suggestions for the shop, let us know. We want to be your one stop shop, your pet store with a heart. We want every time you give your pet a gift, you can do so much good. So, Gift So Good, online pet store. We are not one of the biggest. We're not yet one of the best, but damn it, we're going to try. So, we're going to do our best to make sure that we get whatever you need. And we're going to try our best to make sure that we're the pet store that you come to because you realize every time you make a purchase, you can do good for someone else. Hey, we are 2 to 3 weeks away from Community Pay Forward mobile app coming through. We are so excited about this. Every day I get I get the little notice. I've got the app on my phone, but that's just because they've given it directly to us. Where right now, the app is being approved by Apple and by um, Android or whoever, the Play Store. So we're getting that all situated. We're getting all the partners, all of that. We're getting it added in. Things are looking good. It's going to be so much easier to use the shop, click, and pick platform. All you're going to have to do is find your partner, find who you care about, take a picture of that receipt, and send it to us. That's it. That's all you're going to have to do, all from one app. It is looking fantastic. If you would like to learn more about what we're doing, you can always take and scan this QR code. It is for my card. That is the best way to get a hold of us. You can also, of course, take and I need to explain a little bit about the phone thing to people, because I know when I say please text my phone first, it sounds like I'm being an a-hole. There's a reason for this, okay? After my motorcycle accident, I lost the hearing in my right ear. This one is my right ear, and that's the one I'm deaf in. Not this one. I was actually looking at myself, and I went to go point at my picture's right ear, and that's actually my left ear. So my right ear, I'm deaf in this one. Oy vey. Anyway, deaf in my right ear. If I'm in a place where there's a lot of noise, if I'm in a place where there's a lot of motion, if I'm in a place that is full of distractions, I cannot talk on a phone. So if you send me a text, I can take the time to get into a place where I can concentrate. When I put something over my good ear and I can't hear anything, I hear everything. So everything tries to input through this one ear, and I can't hear you. I just flat out cannot hear you. And I cannot believe that screen timed out that quick. But that's the reason why I asked you to text me first, okay? It has nothing to do with I'm trying to blow off your call. I'm trying to do whatever. But if you text me first, 970-909-0751, 970-909-0751, I can get back to you as soon as I'm in a place where I can talk, okay? So that's the whole reason why I asked you to text me before we have a phone call. You can also get a hold of me by going to Zak, Z-A-K, Zak at communitypayitforward.us. Or you can use my For My Card, which is my digital business card. They are a Community Pay It Forward partner, meaning if you would like a digital business card of your own and you order it through us, you get to donate a portion to someone you care about. One of the other changes that we are making right now, we are going to have it to where, you know what? No muss, no fuss. You want to join the program? You can build your free profile for your business on the website. We're going to have that ready in about a week, maybe a week and a half, but to where you can join Community Pay It Forward no matter where you are. All you're going to have to do is go on, use a link. You're going to click on that link and you're going to be able to build a profile for free. You're going to be able to become a part of Community Pay It Forward. It's going to be that simple. We want you to join our family. We want you to be part of our family. We need you to help us in our mission to help everyone. So no matter what you do, if you want a little bit of extra push for your company and you want to say, hey, you know what? You come to us, we'll give a referral to them and they're going to donate it to something that you care about. Join the Community Pay It Forward family, and you can do that starting in about 2 weeks. We'll just say 2 weeks to be on the safe side. But you can join that here in about 2 weeks. And it's going to cost you nothing to become part of this, but it's going to mean everything to the people that you help. We do desperately now saying that, you can join the program for free, but we do desperately need your help. Right now, we are trying to get this launched. We're trying to get this done. And if you would like to be a named producer, if you would like to have your name on the website as a contributor, as a sponsor, as whatever, please help us out. Join this QR code. It'll take you to a place where you can become a contributor and a supporter of the Community Pay It Forward family of activities. Community Dare to Care, the PAC channel, the Cub Club, Community Pay It Forward, all of them. You can be a huge part of what we are trying to do. Again, one thing. We're trying to do one thing, and that's help everyone. And we can do this if we have you as an ally, if we have your support. So please consider making a small donation. I don't care if it's $2, I don't care if it's $10. I would love it if it was $1,000, but that's not what I'm going to ask for. Please donate whatever you can. Whatever you can goes a long way to doing what we can do. Please like and share this video. Please like and share this channel. Please like and share all of whatever you're watching on. Tell your friends, tell your family, hey, you know what? There's a great way to take and make our shopping count for more than just shopping. If we go to Community Pay It Forward, we can support these causes that we love. And all we have to do is take a picture of the receipt. You want to learn more? Get a hold of me. All my details are right down here. They're going to be in the chat. Please, again, like, share, subscribe, save, love, comment, blow kisses, whatever you want to do. But whatever you do me a favor and do something. But do something for someone. Make sure you love somebody out there, folks, because there's somebody out here who loves you. My name is Zak Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels, asking you to please join us again next week for Global Pay It Forward Day. You are going to meet a ton of my wonderful partners. Okay, we're recording these little videos. They're going to be 5 to 10 minute videos that introduce all of our partners. I'm going to be sitting here. We're going to be playing these. And if you have any questions, if you would like an introduction to them, you can say, I saw that you had that web designer. I saw that you have that financial coach. I saw that you had that program that deals with dating violence. Can I get that information? And I'll say, here it is. There you go. I'll get you that information right away. You can start using Community Pay It Forward right then and there, and we can make a difference in the lives of so many. Please remember, if you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. If you have an extra hoodie in your car, it is still cold at night. Throw it in your car. If you have an old hoodie in your car, okay, if you have an old hoodie in your closet, put it in your car. Give it to somebody out there struggling with the elements. Means nothing to you, means everything to them. If you make a little bit of extra food, throw it in the old hillbilly Tupperware. Throw it in an old butter bowl, in an old Cool Whip bowl if you're a fat guy like me. Zap it in the microwave. Take it to somebody who's struggling with hunger. Again, means nothing to you, means everything to them. Please love somebody out there, again, because somebody out here loves you. Folks, we need to take care of each other because you know what? We're all we got. It's being proven and more every day that there are fewer and fewer people who care about us. Let's care about us. Let's care about others. Let's take care of each other. Let's make sure that the world goes around. Because no matter how softly you walk, you always leave footprints. Let's make sure those footprints keep moving forward. My name is Zak. This has been Footprints Forward. I'll see you next week. Love you all. Bye-bye. Uh-oh. I can't find what I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. Bye-bye.